Hello and welcome to WTNB Today. I'm your host, Wendy Benton. Thank you for joining me. I'm here today with Jeff Archey, the preacher at East Side Church of Christ, located on Wildwood Avenue. Wanted to make sure I got my names correct. And Jeff, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Wendy. An honor to be here. It's great to be sitting across from you.
Well, I'm excited to talk about East Side Church of Christ and the things that you guys are doing and the partnership that you formed with WTNB, and we'll get to that in just a minute.
Sure.
But give us a little bit of history about you and East Side Church of Christ.
Well, I'm an old Nashville boy and grew up in that area, and I used to represent Nabisco. And I came to this area to fill in on a territory. And when I did, I arrived here in town. They told me how to get, and I'm really going to date myself here, they told me how to get to Red Food on Keith Street, which is now the bowling alley. And when I left, I said, okay, my next place is Watson's Tip Top Market. Where is it? So that's how you learn the next place to go. Just ask the store where you're leaving. And they told me where to go. Well, I drove by the Central Church of Christ and saw their preacher was a guy named Charles White. Well, I was familiar with Charles, so on Wednesday night, I knew where I was going to attend Bible study. And so when I walked in there, a young lady came up, introduced herself to me, and I have been married to her now. Renita will be 28 years coming up in April, and very delighted with her. So Cleveland, Tennessee is a very special place. And so when we married, we moved to the Nashville area because, again, I was still working with Nabisco. During that time, I was preaching on weekends, or like somebody would say, you were a part-time preacher. But if you ask my wife, it was 2 full-time jobs. And so we did that for a number of years, and my goal was to go into full-time preaching and ministering when I would get in my 40s. That was just a goal that I had. Well, that first trip down here to Cleveland when I was working this area, I left a little place called the Wildwood Market on Wildwood, and I'm driving back into town and I see East Side Church of Christ building. And I thought, well, I didn't know that was here. And I looked to my left and I thought that roof is on the ground because of the way it was built. And it was very unique looking. And so anyway, when I'm in my 40s, I'm thinking about, I would like to go into full-time preaching, but I really didn't have a set timetable. Well, a friend of mine was preaching at the East Side Church of Christ. His name was Hal Bigham, and Hal had been here for about a year. But he and his wife had a chance to return back home to Alabama with some family matters and things of that nature. So I called him. And his second question to me was, well, I asked him, I said, what's going on? Why are you going? And then he asked me, Jeff, do you think you'd be interested? And I said, well, that's my second reason for calling you. And so through Howell, I was able to speak with J. Marvin Hudson, who is one of our elders. He's a local CPA here in town. And I talked with Marvin and had an opportunity to come and to try out. And so I said my goal was in my 40s. I tried out October 6th, 2002. They offered me the job on October 7th, 2002. And I turned 40 on October the 9th, 2002. And so I'm thinking, the Lord had his hand in this. And so my wife and I moved here. And for a while, I was going back and forth. And I was allowed to stay with a wonderful couple, Reginald and Corrine Heiberger. Reginald was a former clerk and master here in Bradley County. They were very gracious to us, gave us a place to stay. And so when we found our place where we were going to live, then we had everything moved back and we looked at the calendar. Wendy, it was 16 years to the day that my dad helped in loading Renita up to move to our apartment we were going to live in when we married in the Nashville area. And 16 years to that day, we moved to our house here in Cleveland.
Wow.
It's just amazing how things have worked.
Yes.
We love Cleveland. We love the town. I tell people it's a great place to raise a family. It's a great place to know people. It's enjoyable. And it's not far from Chattanooga, at least in my thinking. I still run into people that think Chattanooga is way down there and Cleveland's way up here, which to a certain extent it is when you can't use interstate, and I've done that before. But, living in the Nashville area, Hendersonville area where we lived, you didn't think anything about driving 25, 30 miles into town, doing something and driving back. But I must admit, it's been pretty much a spoiling case having everything right here close. But it's good to be here. That's kind of a brief history of how we came back together with Eastside
Well,
and how it worked.
that's exciting because the church is, you all are doing several things community related, the church outreach within that Wildwood community. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, we just finished in February. We just finished our family seminar. This is our third annual seminar to help husbands, wives, parents, and all. We just finished it. It was very successful. As a matter of fact, we had a couple that came from Michigan. We had folks here from 4 states. And we always open that up to the community. Where we're located at the corner of 4th Street Southeast in Wildwood, we installed a huge blue and white sign that is digital that just keeps reminding the area residents of what all we have going on. And that was absolutely free to the public. It was welcome for anyone to come. And so we offer that. We do a coat giveaway every other year, and that is a big help in that area. But what really helps us, Wendy, is that we address matters on a daily basis. We'll receive a call of someone that needs food, someone that may need a place to stay, someone that is, hitting some hard times financially or something. We have 2 wonderful brothers there at Eastside that address those requests on a daily basis. And so when people come by, they need some type of assistance, we try to address their request and make sure we're doing the best to God's glory for them. So it's like something going on year-round. We do 2 annual gospel meetings a year. We also mail out a special publication that we'll talk about here in a bit called House to House, Heart to Heart, that actually we've just made some adjustments to cover over half of Bradley County. So we're a little aggressive with that, wanting people to know about what we have to offer and how we can help.
Well, and there are exciting things going on, and your partnership, I know, with WTNB and not US 101, you were talking about your wife being a part of that, but with Mix 104.1 and 101.3. Also, you prepare meals for the emergency shelter in your area.
Yes.
And I didn't want to leave that out because you're a very benevolent church.
Yes, we try to be, and I think it's every other Monday night we prepare food for the residents there at the emergency shelter. And a neat story on that is that one week one of our members took some food by and he met a man that was just talking to him who had just arrived there a day or 2 before. And so he got to talking with him, and he invited him to come just up the street to Bible study. And so he came on a Wednesday night. That was a little over 3 years ago. His name is Thomas Leffler, and Thomas is one of our faithful members at Eastside. Diligently is a good worker. Keeps our track rack, our periodical rack full, keeps things in the pews for members to have. Just a real good guy, and we love to tell that story. As a matter of fact, our local paper here, the Cleveland Banner, did a story on him some time back of how he was at the shelter, but he took advantage of opportunities with jobs and different things, and how well he's doing. And we love Tom. He's precious. So that we're thankful for.
Well, and that kind of support, to those individuals is so important, and to get them out of a situation that is not the best for them. So you all have done an amazing job in that area also. Let's get to the partnerships now, Jeff, because I know our audience, as they're listening to you talk, they're enjoying just hearing you and listening to you. You've got one of those great radio voices and TV personas I mentioned to you off the air. So talk a little bit about that. That's one of the things that we want to make sure our message gets out today.
Sure. Well, one of our members that passed away some time back left us a kind gift that she said, use it to do the Lord's work. And each congregation of the Church of Christ is autonomous. We don't have an earthly headquarters or anything like that. Matter of fact, somebody called me one day at the building and said, where is your earthly headquarters, or where is your headquarters? And I wasn't trying to be funny, but I said, in heaven, because that's where the head of the church is, Christ, on the right hand of God. And I said, and then I kind of explained that. Well, our elders, we have 5 men that oversee our congregation, that make the plans. And so I'm in there one day, and one of them looks at me and says, "You ready to go on back on radio?" At one time, we had a program called Declaring Glad Tidings on 104.1. But that was back in 2006 to 2008, so it'd been a number of years. And I said, "Ready?" I didn't want to come off to begin with. Let's do it. And so through Steve Hartline and the good folks at 104.1, as well as 101.3, Talk Radio The Buzz, we're going to begin on February the 28th on 101.3, a 15-minute radio program each Sunday morning. And then on 104.1, Monday through Friday at 8 and 3, and 101.3, Monday through Friday at 9 and 3, we're going to have what we call a Minute for the Master. And people cannot believe that I'm going to be able to get a lot in 1 minute. People love to time preachers, but I think I can get it down. I'm going to try. So those are opportunities through radio. Now, the great thing of that is it's the opportunity to stream that on the World Wide Web. And so that opens up the message of the gospel. And then when they said, "You want to go to radio?" I said, "What about TV?" They said, "Check into it and see." So that brought me here to WTNB, and I spoke with Josh and was able to work out to where we're going to debut on Sunday, March the 6th, a program called Book, Chapter, and Verse. And it's a 30-minute program that we'll be able to talk about the Bible, a period of time that, let's just say a person is unable to attend worship. They're unable to get out. They're shut in. They're sick. They're able to tune in, take their Bibles, and follow along. And it's a joy to return back to television, and I'm excited with the potential of WTNB to be on here locally, because you never know what doors that may open. For example, I've watched on WTNB. I have seen you at work, Wendy. I never thought I'd be sitting here across from you, and now I am. So, hey, I'll put that on my list. Hey, this is something I've done, and I appreciate that very much. And so that's how the partnership came with WTNB. And Josh and Jay have been fantastic to work with, and it's good to meet you and all. And so we're looking forward to the program debuting, and look forward to a long relationship.
Well, we're glad you're part of the family now.
Thank you.
That's exciting, and I know our audience will get so much out of it. And again, I think you have a great delivery and just your personality, just to give the truth of God's Word to those people on making it convenient for them if they can't get to church. And you also will open the door if they need anything that they can call the church.
That's true. Yeah, and people will study too. For example, folks say, well, what? Okay, they'll say it's a religious broadcast. What makes it different? Well, number one, we simply want to encourage book, chapter, and verse, to take the Bible and to look at these things and to study together. And you can't go wrong doing that. God gave us His Word. It is the great Word, and it is able to address, as Peter said, all things that pertain to life and godliness. And we're able to take that. It makes us better people. The second thing of the broadcast that we think makes it unique is the fact that there's no denominational doctrine slant. It's simply, let's see what the Bible has to say. Wendy, it's interesting when you read statistics of denominational bodies around the world and you see the decline in many, and you find people that have become disillusioned with religion as a whole. And so we believe we have something that makes it very simple. Sometimes people will ask me, "What denomination do you preach for?" And I say, "Well, actually, I don't preach for a denomination. I'm actually pre-denominational." And I get this, I kind of get that look, like, what? But if you think about it, we simply desire to be the church that we read of in the New Testament. I know that one's right. And when we turn back to the pages of God's Word and see the simplicity of it, and people will look and say, "Wow, that's different. I've been searching for something that's, not so cloudy, but something that I can understand clear." And then thirdly, and this is something we're delighted with, and we're able to make it so because of the members of Eastside Church of Christ. And I'll say more about that specific thing in a second, but anything that we offer through our program, Book, Chapter, and Verse, or for that matter, through our radio broadcast, anything that we offer will be absolutely free to the viewer. And that's something that people, really? How can you do that? Our members of the Eastside Church of Christ respond tremendously. We've often said, if you present a need before them, explain what the need is. Here they come with it. We were able to feed everybody, to give everybody a free lunch at our family seminar. And I looked around when it was all over and done. I've never seen so many small cakes left. Pizzas were all jammed in the refrigerator that we could still use and put to use with everybody. Drinks everywhere, colas and waters and everything. And our folks just respond very well. As a matter of fact, our elders are looking at a variety of possibly expansion or remodeling our building where it can be more efficient, more useful. Yesterday they were meeting with 3 of our brothers that were sitting down looking at plans. And so it's just an exciting time. There's something going on. It's just like going to the book of Acts chapter 2 and to see how excited they were and how rooted they were becoming in the faith. And that's what we're striving to do. So we think the program will be of help to people. We hope it will be. And they'll be able to contact us. They'll be able to write us. They can call us at the church building or write us at the church building. We'll have an email set up for them as well. And they can contact us, and anything that they need to study or to help, we'll do our very best to address it.
Well, and you mentioned the giveaways, and I wanted to make sure that our audience understood that, and that you all would provide those materials free, that they just had to call and request for those. And I did want to mention that as one last thing before we wrap our conversation up. And it's a great thing. You know a church is growing when they're building. And you all seem to be doing it right over on Wildwood.
Yeah, we're giving it a try. And some folks, I'll have people ask, now Jeff, where are you located? And I say, okay, the address is 252 Wildwood Avenue, but we're at the corner of 4th Street Southeast and Wildwood. But here's the easy way I can say it, and I know I give away a lot of advertising because I have a lot of fun with the Rush boys, Greg Rush and all. I said, we're located behind the Jim Rush Funeral Home. Oh, I know where that is. And so that's the best way we can tell people. I could say we're right next to the Whirlpool plant, but that got taken away about a year ago. So, but we're located right there. You look at our front door, you can see the old Whirlpool facility. And so we're in a good location there right around the curve, and we'd love for people to come see us.
Well, it's exciting times for you all, and we're so glad to have you, Jeff, to be part of WTNB
and
your new programming. And I want to thank you for being with me today.
Well, you're welcome. Good to be with you, Wendy. We look forward to everybody tuning in.
Yes, absolutely. Well, and I've enjoyed talking to you as well.
Thank you.
I think you're going to enjoy Jeff's new program and Eastside Church of Christ and what they're going to be doing as their outreach on WTNB and tune in, and also on the radio with Mix 104.1 and 101.3. And we will see you next time on WTNB Today.